Welcome to Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and today, let's try and focus on the characters. As we talk about different shows here on the channel, there's always something that I see in the comments or even find myself thinking as I'm watching a show, and it's the idea of relatable characters, or the idea that characters have to be relatable for us to like them or understand them or even just enjoy them more in the show. The first instinct I had about this was that I don't need to be able to relate to a character in order to enjoy the story or even like the character itself. And my reasoning for this was, well, take Jax from Sons of Anarchy, for example. Sons of Anarchy is one of my all-time favorite shows, and I think Jax is a fantastic character. But I don't relate to Jax, or at least I don't think I do. Just like most characters on that show, he's an impulsive, egotistical, murdering psychopath. They kill so many people. They ride around on their giant, ridiculous bikes and they kill people all the time. So I don't relate to any of that, nor do I share any experiences with Jax. I lead a far less eventful life, but I still think that he's a fascinating, fleshed out character. So there, I don't need a character to be relatable, done deal. But is that what relatability is? I don't ride motorcycles and kill people who look at me wrong, so I can't relate to anything Jax does? No, it has to be more complicated than that. Relating to something is a lot like sympathizing with something. So I think the first step to relatability is being able to understand the character. I'm sure a lot of us don't relate to Walter White. I mean, maybe we do to certain aspects of his personality, but we understand pretty well why he does the things he does. We understand when he's doing something for his family and when he's doing something just to satiate his own giant ego. And if we understand it, it makes sense. He feels more like an actual person and we get it. It's kind of like when we're arguing with someone and we feel that they're just making a point that doesn't make sense and it seems stupid and it makes us angry. Like, let's say someone said something super sexist and you're like, I can't believe you think this way. But then if for some reason you're able to put yourself in that person's shoes and understand why they think that way, and you learn that, for example, maybe it has to do with the way they grew up and it's all they know and they were never really exposed to any other way of thinking, maybe it doesn't make it okay, but it does diffuse our anger a little bit, right? Because now we understand where it's coming from. Now it makes sense. So it's the same thing with the characters on TV, I think, much more so than movie characters, because we get to spend so much more time understanding them. The best characters are usually the ones that make the most sense, no matter the setting. I think the Doctor from Doctor Who is also a pretty good example of this. Even though the show as a whole definitely has had its ups and downs, the character of the Doctor is largely consistent. And despite the fact that he's usually very erratic, we know what drives the Doctor. That's why when the show dips in quality, the Doctor typically tends to do something uncharacteristic as well. And then you're like, that didn't make sense, the character doesn't make sense now, everything is horrible, everything is ruined, but then usually it picks back up again. Okay, so that's understanding the character. We know why Offred does what she does. Great. So is it enough to understand a character in order to relate to that character or in order to enjoy the show, assuming of course there's a good story and writing and acting and all of that? I thought so, until another show came to mind, the Netflix show Love. I think Love is a good show. It's well written, well acted, and I hate it, I can't watch it. And I hate it because I hate the characters to a point where I can't really enjoy the show. I think the performers did a great job, and I think the writers did a great job, but the people who are these characters are people that I hate. When I watch this show, all I see are two self-centered assholes who are constantly blaming other people for their own problems, which is great. Those are the characters in that show, and the fact that I can see that and someone else can watch the same show and see something completely different in those characters is probably just a testament of how good this show is. It's a good show, and I hate it. And it got me thinking, I don't like this show because I don't like the characters. I don't relate to anything they're going through, so maybe I do need that in a show. But then I think about like Mickey Donovan from Ray Donovan. I love Mickey Nicky Donovan. And I certainly don't relate to him either. I think he's a hypocrite asshole who takes advantage of his own children. But I love him. So what is it then? Do we need characters to be likable? Do we need them to be relatable? Okay, so obviously I don't have a definitive answer. I was hoping to have a discussion about it with you in the comments down below, but I think that at the end of the day, it depends on the type of story you're watching. Love is a very personal show. Maybe for that type of show, you do need to sympathize with the characters more in order to enjoy the show. In Master of None, for example, I didn't always agree with Dev's actions, but I did always feel like I understood why he does things, and I was able to relate to how those things made him feel. And I like the character a lot. I'd love to know your thoughts about this. Do you feel you need a character to be likable or relatable for you to be able to enjoy a show? Can you think of some examples? I'd love to get the discussion going in the comments down below. Just please remember, if you're talking about spoilers for any show, please use spoiler tags in the name of that show. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps out a lot. And you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram and TV Time, links to everything down below, where you can also join our Discord server where we chat about TV and it's a lot of fun. You can also support binge watchers on Patreon for all sorts of extra discussions and behind the scenes stuff. And if you're finding binge watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the binge watchers community. Come talk about TV with us. It's a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel. But in any case, keep binging, and I will see you next time.